Hi, Women of Welcome. How are you this December? I'm coming to you from very cold Colorado. And this morning, I am going to be doing our last installment, our last segment of our Christmas at the Border. We know that in a week's time, the administration is going to be lifting Title 42, which means, hold on, I'm getting seeking asylum, wanting to find safety and refuge in the U.S. We're going to be talking with World Relief's Southern California office. And Heather, if you're watching this, I just pressed to let you in, but try again. So our World Relief SoCal office is in the San Diego area in Southern California, obviously, and they do a lot of work with ministries and churches at the southern border there in California. And so we've been talking with people along the border in Texas, and now we're going to speak with some friends in California. So I'm going to get Heather on here, and she just requested, let's see here. Let's see if I can get her in. I just pressed it again. Let's see if this can bring her on. Oh, it says there. Hey, Heather, it just says that you're unable to join. So, hi, folks. We're going to be talking with another wonderful partner of ours, World Relief at the California border. And we are, like a week out from Christmas. And so it's great to be talking with them about what they need, as we're going to see an influx of migrants, I'm sure, in the next week or so. So I'm going to try and get Heather on here. So just give me 1 second. Hang with me. Let's see here. Trying hard to go live with SoCal office. I see them on here, so we'll just see if they can pop on. If not, I'll pop off and then I'll pop back on just to make sure that we can get this started. If you haven't been paying attention to a lot of what we've been talking about lately here in this community, is during this lame duck session, we literally have just days left in this lame duck session with those on Capitol Hill to get something done for dreamers, for our Afghan allies, for our farm workers in this country. And so we've been asking for you to use your voice, and part of using your voice means calling your elected officials, emailing your elected officials, and we have some very easy, quick campaigns that you can get involved in. And I don't want you to be intimidated by the word campaign, because what we mean is use your voice, no matter who your representative is, to use your voice. So let's see here if I can get Heather accept. Let's see here. So we'll talk about that. I'll pop on a little bit later today, but here's Heather from California.
Yay.
We got it. We
Good
figured
morning.
it out. Yes, we figured it out. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so everybody, this is who we are going to be spending a little bit of our morning with, which is wonderful because we are just days away from Christmas. And we know that there are thousands of people who are coming to the U.S. during this time. And while we're hectic and busy and getting all of our things in order for our families, we've got thousands of families who are trying to get things in order for their families in a very, very different way. So this is Heather from our support partner, World Relief. And again, she's down at the SoCal office and working with partners along the San Diego Tijuana border. So
good
Heather,
morning. Thank you for having us
this morning. Yes. So I'm so glad we're actually talking. We got the request figured out. First and foremost, Heather, tell us what your role is down at the
So my name is Heather
office.
Kwok. I'm the office director for our Southern California World Relief office. We have a physical office here in Orange County, and we serve everybody throughout Greater Los Angeles, Orange County, as well as San Diego. And we're doing some border work as well with some of our partners. So we've been going down to the border in the last few years to provide services.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the San Diego, Tijuana border region. Like, for those of us who live far away, what is that dynamic? What does it look like? Tell us about the region.
When it comes to immigration, that's it's always been happening. It's not anything new, but most recently in the last few years, with the crises all around the world, I mean, just refugee numbers at large, we're at the highest we've ever been at nearly 100 million refugees around the world. And we're seeing that directly just 2 hours south of us. I'm in Orange County, closer to Disneyland, I guess, but it's our neighbor, southern border. And we've been mobilizing churches in San Diego to respond to this. We have asylum seekers coming straight into San Diego from Tijuana. We have most recently Ukrainians, folks from Afghanistan who couldn't get out, last year in August, who are coming through Afghanistan as well. We have Russians coming through and fleeing conscription and just seeking asylum and seeking safety here in the U.S. Ongoing folks from different parts of Mexico, Michoacan, growing presence of folks coming from South America, from Venezuela, from Colombia, folks from Haiti with the assassination of their president last year and the earthquake last year. So we just have record numbers right now of folks coming to our southern border in Tijuana, through Tijuana. I mean, El Paso is another area where there's a lots of migration right now, but we're feeling it here directly, and we're trying to just respond to the needs at hand. From temporary housing, we have a host home program, just getting donated items to folks, just connecting the community so folks are able to navigate systems and get basic necessities right now.
Yeah, and as you head in just kind of to this next, it's been winter months for a little bit now, but it's about to get even colder. And how does that change dynamics in the region for you all and what you guys do?
I mean, it doesn't change. Housing
Really?
is number one. As you know, living in Southern California is quite expensive for folks, especially folks seeking asylum, as opposed to maybe if you're a parolean or you're Ukrainian, folks who have more access to resources. We have folks from Venezuela, from Haiti, who don't necessarily have those same access. So, temporary housing is the biggest thing right now. We create a host home program as a direct response to what's going on from Afghanistan to Ukraine. So folks who are on this call, if you have a granny flat, if you've got an RV, if you've got an Airbnb space that you're not using and you want to open it up to a new family for just temporary as we're getting situated here, navigating systems, that's a great way to come out and walk alongside refugees right now. So they're not out in the streets. There's the migrant shelters are just filled to the brim, wherever you are. And so housing is number one, especially, as you said, as it's getting colder right now.
Right. Yeah. So help just our community understand. I think so many in our community understand that World Relief is very programmatic and they have a lot of partners that they work with. What exactly does the SoCal office, what is World Relief in general doing in the midst of this kind of crisis at the border? What is your main work, your main
in addition
function?
to just, we have Immigration Legal Services Department. So folks who are just, whether you're seeking asylum or whether you have a green card and trying to naturalize, or you're trying to reunify with a family member, we have a team of legal experts providing consultation to representation. In addition to that, we have a program called Good Neighbor Teams. So if you're a newly arrived immigrant and are seeking some basic necessities and just simply friendship with folks in the community, we're equipping and training volunteers, especially from the church, to walk alongside individuals and families as they navigate, cultural orientation or just access to resources, right? Or it's, hey, I got this mail and I don't know what it means, just helping folks acclimate to the community. At the border specifically, we have two partners. One is a migrant shelter called Camino de Salvacion. They are providing direct shelter for immigrants on their journey north. And we've been partnering with them so that they can provide those resources. Another organization called Madres, just on the other side, walking from the port in Tijuana. She's been amazing in providing donated items. So we would go down with church partners, bring donated items, just food, basic necessities, just navigating how to, folks just navigating Mexico, right? Getting their documents and papers so they're allowed to work, and providing a hot meal, skills workshops, sewing classes. So we've been, going down with volunteers to provide different kinds of resources. San Diego specifically, we've been doing the host home program. A lot of folks from Ukraine right now are, we've been helping from Ukraine and from Afghanistan, asylum seekers from Iran. Generous churches who donated their space, opened up their homes to folks who just arrived to the US, and Good Neighbor teams and English classes, individual English classes, women just coming together, whether it's a group of Syrian women or Afghan women coming together to just be in community is what we're trying to facilitate, and be bridges in the community.
I can imagine just, as people see the headlines that constantly come through, cycle through, about how much traffic is happening at the border right now, and what the influx, the numbers just keep coming. And I was just mentioning before we got on together, just that Title 42 is supposed to be lifted. And for those of you who don't know who Title 42 is, we'll post that in the stories so that you can revisit what that is. But it's basically a public health code that has restricted asylum seekers from coming in order to mitigate the risk of further exposure of COVID to Americans. And we all know that we don't have COVID restrictions anymore in America. And so Title 42 has been used as a Band-Aid for bad immigration policy that we have right now, broken immigration policy, and it's remained in place since the Trump administration and has not been lifted. And so that is looking to be lifted in the next week, which means people are going to be very hopeful about finding asylum in the US and finally getting to the US. So I think we all need to kind of brace ourselves for maybe some of the headlines that are going to come about, because Heather and the partners that she works with, they're likely going to see a continued influx, which is going to be a hard dynamic, but also an amazing opportunity for the American church. So Heather, what do you, when you think about the massive amount of people that are indeed coming, how has that been for the work that you've been doing in the region? Has that been received well? Are people exhausted? What does that look like? Like, what does the work look like for you guys?
Good question.
Sorry, I didn't put that in the, hey, I'm going to ask you this question.
I mean, I've been doing this work for over a decade. I mean, for me, immigration, it's just normal. It's an ongoing, it's not new. Yeah.
It's not new.
And so, yes, it's the work is hard to see folks. There's just so much need in the community. But for every time I'm just frustrated because maybe I have a client who needs housing, or is just having the most difficult time, or there's immigration restrictive policies that making it nearly impossible for somebody to survive, really. The amount of love that's coming from the community, from the church, to bring welcome to folks has been overwhelming. And so that has been extremely motivating and inspirational to continue this work, and really recognizing that it takes a whole community to welcome. We're not in silos. It's not just one person doing it, and it could be heavy to put that on you. And so it's been really amazing to see the Good Neighbor teams, the churches just completely being transformed, and hearing words like, thank you so much. Ahmad has really blessed our church and really opened our eyes. And it's been really amazing to see, especially folks who, may not had to have navigate social services or systems, in their life, finally having to reckon, oh my God, it's really hard. How do people do this? And that's been really great to see as well, just people's perspective, and students like, oh, the systems are an issue. I can see why it's so difficult, and so it's been such a learning journey for everybody, not just the impacted immigrant, but the welcoming community as well, in such a positive way. And so that's been really great to see, just people coming on board. There's always going to be folks who, are anti this and anti that, but the amount of love that's been pouring in to welcome and to learn, to really step in and just want to learn more, and not just see the headlines that you see, has been really great and encouraging as we continue to welcome folks here in Southern California.
Well, I do think that that's one of the biggest surprises, is that when you start to serve in really any kind of human dignity area, but also just like in areas where you have to really get close with people and offer, like, be self-sacrificial about your resources or your home or your church or something like that. It is always like this at first, like, ooh, this is going to be a heavy lift. This is going to cost a lot. This is going to be an inconvenience. And there has never been a partner that I can think of that we've ever talked to or that we've heard of that has been like, I really regret that. Like, I mean, everybody we've talked to, I mean, to be perfectly honest, can be tired and weary because there's not always enough volunteers. But every time the answer is, I'm so thankful. Man, I feel so blessed to be able to step outside of my own world and enter into a place of learning and just honestly, it sounds kind of cheesy sometimes, but love. I mean, you're just challenged to see the church and see people in a whole new way. Is that your experience too? People just feel blessed for having entered in when they didn't feel like they could or should?
People coming in with this kind of over glamorized idea of what this means, I guess, or to walk along somebody like this, somebody who may appear very different than you, but learning, oh, we're actually very similar. There's more similarities and differences, but you come with folks come with a lot of fear-based questions, it's all coming from fear, and so, but the fact that they're just stepping in, and so, we always have, to exercise compassion and grace, and, people are just learning, and they just know what they know and they don't know, what they don't know. And so it's been amazing for folks to journey alongside a family and just be like, oh my God, I just learned that it's sacrifice. That's what love is, and, when I hear, whether I'm talking with volunteers or emailing and folks are saying, yeah, well, God will lead us the way, and just folks just being, I think, exceeding expectations. Like, they didn't know what they were coming into, what this means, as they're navigating cultures, they're navigating economic differences, right? And just trying to learn systems. It's been pretty amazing. Just as people are reflecting on their journey, and they may have had guests who, it's challenging to open just to, like, maybe your extended family to your home, right? Like, maybe it's a holiday time, and maybe people are going to be spending their night at their home. Even that can be challenging, even within your own family. But to open your home to complete strangers that you never knew is a huge sacrifice, and an act of love and service. And for somebody, we've had host homes who, it was really challenging. The family was there for a few weeks, a few months, and they've, expressed to us it's been challenging. But when they were done, they're like, okay, I'm ready for another family. We didn't expect that at all. Yeah, they're done.
You're like, these people are done. So oh wait, never mind.
We're ready for another family. We're like, okay, and so it's been really amazing. It's just a roller coaster. We're just humans. We're just going through the motions. There's difficulties, there's challenges, but we always, together, prevail. So it's been really amazing to see that.
What would you say is, I've got two more questions. I wanted to keep this conversation kind of short, but two questions. What is probably the most challenging aspect of your work in the region?
Aside from the last few years, there's been a lot of restrictive immigration policies. That's been really, I'm also a practitioner. I represent clients in front of immigration. And so it's been really challenging to navigate that with my clients. And so whether it's, MPP, or whether it's Title 42, or it's public charge. I mean, I'm throwing a lot of language out there, but essentially they're very restrictive, making it nearly impossible for folks to receive benefits here in the United States when it comes to immigration. So it's been difficult having those conversations with clients who fear they're going to be deported, or fear that they may never reunite with a family member. So that's really challenging. Whether I have a teenage boy who's in Ethiopia that I'm trying to bring over to reunite with his parents, but there's a civil war happening there. And so those are the things that have been really, challenging for our clients. And DACA's been on a roller coaster ride right now. And so just the unknown, is this my last work permit, and because of DACA, people were able to go to school, people were able to raise a family, and now it's like, what's going to happen? What do we do? Right. It's so precarious. And so those have been the most frustrating as a practitioner, making it really impossible to serve our community. And the challenges is just also, Road Relief plays a unique role in bridging gaps and being a bridge to the church and what's going on in the community. And so whether it's navigating maybe preconceived and just fear-based, like I said, notions around immigrants and the politicization of immigration, and breaking that down and really just approaching it from the human side, the humanity of it. How do we see immigrants through a biblical lens? And so just bringing it back to basic, and having those conversations, and sometimes challenging conversations with leaders in the community, but it's been very rewarding and necessary. And so everybody's on a journey, and so we're here to walk alongside and meet you where you're at and just continue dialogue. And so that's, been challenging, but also very enriching as well.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of needs at the border, and a lot of us feel super far from the border, and a lot of us are physically, geographically very far from the border. One of the things at Women of Welcome is we do have segmented time zone prayer groups that really update our community on what they can be praying for. If you feel super far away, one of the easiest ways to get closer proximity to an issue is to pray, but also to care about people. And if you can't physically be close to people, in proximity to people, prayer is a way to get in close proximity. Also just supplying physical needs, what people need. And we do have an Amazon list that we're going to be sharing with the community here. And after we get off the call, we'll put it in stories, and we'll put it in our bio. But there are a lot of needs. And so if you feel like you're not exactly sure what you can do, all month long, we've been sharing about people who are the hands and feet of Jesus all along the border. And and we do anticipate a further influx over the next coming weeks. So we will have that list. Tell us what's on the list, and like what kinds of things are on the list that you are really tangible things.
Sure. I mean, the list is more towards folks who've newly arrived to the U.S., but folks who need basic necessities, whether it's an Afghan family, there's tea kettles, lots of tea. There's rugs.
Yes. Yes.
So, just things that culturally to, the folks that are coming. But yeah, pots, pans, things you need to cook with. And so it's just basic necessities. The list will continue. Mm-hmm.
I saw like sweatshirts and, cooking stuff, and even just things like coats and mittens, and it's just think if your family has been traveling forever, and what would feel like welcome to you that World Relief and their partners could give out. And is there anything beyond just this Amazon wish list that we're going to share that people could do to help support the work that's going on down in
Sure. I mean, like you said, pray for the families who are making these difficult journeys, and that they will find safety. Call your elected officials, advocate for immigrant rights and humane policies, as folks are being, some folks are being let in at the border and some folks aren't. And so just for humane policies and equitable distribution, how we implement these policies across all countries. And support organizations that are doing the work, not just Road Relief, right at the border, whether it's Catholic Charities or Jewish Family Services. You know, there's who have migrant shelters down in San Diego for folks who are just coming in. So just, you know, you can Google this all too, just see who's doing immigration, refugee work down in San Diego and support them, whether it's financially, whether it's your hands and feet and volunteer, whether it's praying for those families that they serve, whether it's providing donated items, and like you said, it's coats, backpacks, scarves, sweaters, just folks who are, you know, living on the streets essentially, out there in TJ or just in San Diego. And so just ask questions and just, you know, do some research, you know, look into it, lean into it, want to learn more about what's going on, you know, whether it's down there 2 hours south of us or it's folks right in your neighborhood, right? And so just, you know, want to learn. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's a good thing. And we're going to be talking about this more just this week. We're going to be kind of really trying to inform the Women of Welcome community, continue to just uplift the fact that there are just days left in the rest of this year in which Congress will be meeting, our senators will be having conversations, we want to push our elected officials to reach across the aisle and to make legal pathways for people who have been in this country for a long time, like dreamers, those we've brought to this country, like our Afghan allies, and those who we need in this country to help our farmers so that their fields don't turn into parking lots. We want to encourage elected officials to do their job. No matter who you voted for, it doesn't matter. We want them all to do their job of reaching across the aisle and making legal pathways that not only help alleviate the huge humanitarian need, but also help us remain faithful to our commitments abroad, and also help us remain faithful to economic and national security as far as being able to feed Americans by American fields. And so we're going to keep talking about this, and we're going to this week, and hopefully we'll make some headway on some of these things. But Heather, thank you so much for all that you and your team do down at the border. And we're so thankful for all your partners down at the border too. So as we head into the holiday season, we just pray that you will also be thinking about how you might engage with the southern border, especially with World Relief SoCal in the coming weeks. So Heather, thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving us some insight into your
thank you so
life
much,
down there in
Ray, and thank you
California.
for Women of Welcome, for just, you know, creating spaces of belonging, you know, and making an effort and wanting to learn more about immigrants in Southern California. So thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Heather.